Hi, I'm Rachel from Equaliteach. We're a not-for-profit organisation specialising in equality and diversity training and education. We offer workshops for young people, training for adults, including our online offer, consultancy for schools and organisations, an equalities award scheme for schools, and we design and develop educational resources, which is what we're here for today. This video will talk you through an activity that you can do with 8 to 12-year-olds at home or at school, taken from one of our educational resources. The activity that we're looking at today is from our resource Universal Values, which can be found alongside all of our other resources available for free from our website, equaliteach.co.uk/classroom-resources. This resource was developed in partnership with the NASUWT Teachers Union to support schools to embed inclusive values education throughout their settings. If you view the resource guide, you can download the full guide or individual chapters, and you'll also find the accompanying documents and resources on that page as well. So today's activity is called Voyage to Mars. It's taken from the Creating Critical Thinkers chapter on page 21 of the full resource. The aims are to help young people understand the concept of stereotyping, thinking about judging people, how we shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and to explore how we all have multi-layered identities. We're not just defined by one label, and to really celebrate our individuality. So there's a few things before we get started that might be useful. So there are some keywords, some things that will crop up throughout the activity that might be useful to make sure that you've got definitions on hand. So a few of these definitions are available later on in the resource if you want to use our definitions, but of course you can use your own. So these are some of the words that you might need to just make sure you clarify to make sure people know what you're talking about. And there are some starting points in the guidance, and that really helps to set up the right kind of atmosphere. So if I just take you through some of those starting points. So on page 17 of the resource, you'll find the starting points. Just talks you through a few things to think about before you get started on work like this. So knowing your perspective and the starting points that you're coming from, thinking about making sure that you've got a safe space for this kind of discussion. You might want to set some ground rules. You might want to think about how you can make sure that the discussion is going to be really open and honest. And there's also some really handy tips there for how to effectively challenge negative opinions or prejudice if that comes up. So we don't want to be creating any kind of conflict. So this is some really handy techniques for responding in a kind of calm and measured way. So a few of those that just take you through there. And then on to the activity. So on page 21, you see here, it will tell you any resources that you need, talk you through the aims, and then it talks you through the delivery. So the young people need to imagine that a company is launching its first trip to Mars. They've won a competition to be on that first trip, and they get to choose the other people who are going to go in the rocket with them. So of course, first things first, you need your rocket. So if you scroll down page 24, you'll find a rocket template from us. So feel free to print this out and use this, colour it in, jazz it up, or create your own entirely. You can have a 3D one, huge one, tiny one. You can just write the word rocket on a piece of paper, be as creative or as uncreative as you like with this bit. And you'll have the stars as well. So it's up to you what number of guests you want to go for. The example that we've got here has got 10 that they can choose from. In the table that we provide that I'll come on to later, you can go up to 16, but you might want to choose fewer, depends how much time you've got as well. So you'll see we've got these pre-prepared stars with different options for you there, with different descriptions of different people who might be able to join them on their trip to Mars. You'll see that a lot of these statements are quite vague, they don't give you a lot of information, and that's kind of the whole point. So from these 10 stars, young people need to choose 5 of these that can come with them on their trip to Mars and 5 that can't. And what we're really interested in is what their reasons are for or against each guest. So it's a good idea to have give them some time to think about these things and really encourage them to think, why would you like that person to be in the rocket with you? But how long it might take to get to Mars, a long time. So you're going to be in a confined space. Why wouldn't you want this person to come with you? What's interesting or what doesn't interest you about this person? And they can write down their reasons. And it's a good idea to document this somewhere. So it might be that you just jot it all down on a piece of paper. If you are in a classroom environment, you might have a whiteboard that you can write some reasons up on. Perhaps they just want to write it on the back of each star, the reason why they have or haven't chosen that person, just so that you can come back to those later on. So have a discussion, get some feedback, find out what their reasons are, have a little think about it, and then we're going to revisit the PowerPoint. At this point, you'll be able to reveal to them who each of these guests are. So you bring two of the guests up. They're quite different. A man who uses a wheelchair, a famous astrophysicist. Think about what their different reasons were. Has each of these people been invited? Why not? And then reveal that they are in fact the same person. This one you might have guessed. So this is, of course, Stephen Hawking. And as you work through, you'll find that this is the same for all of them. So the names and information about all of these are in the resource. So you don't have to remember who's who and what their names are. So finding out that Rita Ora, famous singer-songwriter, is also a refugee who fled from Kosovo. So these are where some of the key words are going to come up as well. We have here Barack Obama. We've got Hollywood actress Halle Berry, who also has 80% hearing loss, which is an interesting point as well about the fact that, of course, disability isn't always visible. And this is Roxana Begum, a really inspiring young person from East London, who's a British kickboxing world champion. And there's some great video content online with her talking about her faith and her boxing and how those two worlds kind of combine. This one you might be able to guess as well. Our athlete is also our man from Somalia, so Sermo Farah. And this is a woman called Mariam Merzikani, absolutely excellent mathematician. So in the resource, we've got this table which does talk you through who's who and matches those ones up. Feel free, of course, to be creative if you've got some other ideas of different people you would like to include. And as I've said, you don't have to include all of these options. If you've got less time, then you can reduce it down and do a smaller number. But just making sure that for everyone on the left-hand column, you've also got the right-hand column to match up. Then you've got these discussion points here on page 23. So what surprised you? Why do you think we did this activity? Can any of us just be defined by one sentence? And hopefully that conversation will lead you on to talking about this idea that you can't judge a book by its cover. So you can explore this a bit more, discuss its relevance to the activity, and explain the word stereotype and what it means. It may well be that the young people you're working with already are familiar with the word stereotype, and that might have come up in their conversations. Oh, actually, we're stereotyping. But it might be a brand new word and a brand new concept. So just exploring some other different examples with them. There are lots of really very common stereotypes that we hear in the world around us. So just linking it to that to help to explain this concept. So all British people drink tea, that's a stereotype. The idea that pink is for girls, blue is for boys, that's a stereotype. So thinking about all of these different examples. And what's really useful is to then go on to thinking about actually how can these stereotypes be harmful? What can they lead to? How can they limit our aspirations perhaps, or alter the way that we treat other people? Perhaps it can lead people to be offended or hurt or left out or judged unfairly. So thinking about why it's a good idea not to stereotype. So really thinking, getting to know people before we make any judgments about them. And just a few tips before we finish up. I'd recommend doing a bit of background research on some of the people that we've talked about there. A lot of them have got, well, all of them, in my opinion, have got really interesting background stories to tell, and you can add some interesting facts and tidbits in when you're revealing them. Add some video content as well to make it really engaging. As I said, I know there's a really good one of Roxana Begum. There are great videos about disability that you can find online. Lots and lots of different content, so that can kind of mix it up. Don't forget to read those starting points. That will really help you to feel a bit more confident about navigating these conversations that can end up being quite emotive or controversial when we're drawing out some of those stereotypical ideas. And of course, please, if you do this activity, please share it with us. We'd love to see your snazzy rockets, and we'd love to hear how you get on. So you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook @EqualiTeach, and you can hashtag Voyage to Mars, and we'd love to see your work. We'll be posting some more tutorials in the future, so feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you won't miss out on any of them. Have fun, stay safe, and take care.